What if your life gets trapped in a loop and you're forced to live the same day over and over again? On top of that, a crew of dangerous killers is hunting you down. That's exactly what Roy is dealing with. He's lived through the same bloody day so many times now. He already knows what's coming next. Every single time, death is waiting right in front of him, but Roy still refuses to give up. Not only does he deal with the same assassin again and again, but every morning, a guy shows up in a helicopter with a machine gun just to say good morning. Roy takes him out with a knife. In the middle of all this, he stares at a photo of his ex-wife, and seconds before his apartment explodes, he jumps off the balcony and lands straight onto a moving truck. Although, honestly, it doesn't always work out that smoothly. Sometimes the truck crashes too. At this point, Roy remembers every little detail before it even happens, and that's exactly what's making this whole situation even more dangerous. After that, every single day, he steals a guy's car right outside, because he already knows the man's running late for work and about to speed off anyway. Then this happens. The screen shows he's already died 79 times so far, and now, Roy finally understands something. This is no longer just about surviving anymore. Now, it's about ending the mystery behind all of it. Someone clearly wants him dead, but he has no idea why. On the road, sometimes a group of women guns him down. Other times, one of the brothers blows him up with a bomb. Then, there's Guan Yin, a deadly sword fighter, who introduces herself every single time right before killing him. The harder Roy tries to stay alive, the more brutal the danger around him becomes. Then things get even worse. A guy who looks exactly like him starts coming after him too. Roy believes his ex-wife Gemma is the only person who can answer all his questions, so he calls her. But instead, her boss Ventor picks up. Behind him is some massive high-tech machine glowing in the background. That's when Ventor reveals something shocking. Jenna died in a car crash last night, before the time loop even started. The second Roy hears that, something inside him completely breaks, but he doesn't have time to stop moving. He's devastated, but the killers chasing him won't even let him grieve. The next day, just like always, Roy tears down the road trying to stay alive. Somehow, he manages to grab a grenade launcher from the women chasing him and blows them up with their own weapon. Now Roy understands one thing clearly. If he wants to survive, he has to strike first. After that, Roy heads to his favorite diner and starts stuffing himself with food. Around the same time, we see Devon, a guy working for a private security company. On the other side, a famous Chinese sword fighter named Dai Feng is there too. Danger is everywhere now, but Roy has started paying attention to every little detail around him. While drinking at the bar, Roy notices the clock hit 12:47, and that's when everybody suddenly gathers around him and unloads bullets into his body. Right after that, we're taken back to the day before the time loop started. Roy visits his ex-wife's office to apply for a position in the security department, but then he realizes the company doesn't actually need security. Gemma does. Slowly, doors begin opening in front of Roy, secrets he never even knew existed. Out of nowhere, Gemma cuts a few strands of Roy's hair. Her behavior feels strange, almost nervous. Then she asks if he received the birthday gift she sent him. Gemma hugs him tightly and whispers in his ear to remember every detail of this moment. Just then, 3 security guards walk in and force Roy out of the room. After he leaves, Gemma's boss Ventor warns her that the project they're working on is top secret and she can't keep bringing old lovers inside the facility. Now Roy is starting to believe there's something massive hidden behind this entire game, something far bigger than he ever imagined. Around 3 in the morning, Roy is sitting inside a bar with a woman named Alice, a dentist by profession. After Alice heads to the restroom, the bartender casually tells Roy something strange. He can have fun with her if he wants, but the look in her eyes says she's in love with somebody else. Roy is slowly starting to realize that everybody around him is hiding some kind of secret. Then Gemma suddenly calls him. She's working on something using samples of Roy's hair. She tells him she needs his help for the one thing he's always been best at. After saying that, she walks toward the machine. But since Ventor and his security team are monitoring everything through surveillance systems, Ventor immediately orders his men to bring Gemma to him. With every passing second, the situation keeps getting more dangerous, but Roy has no intention of backing down now. The next morning, when Roy wakes up, the loop has already restarted. Following Jenna's instructions, he searches for the birthday gift she gave him. It turns out to be a book called The Egyptian Book of the Dead. Liana R. Gemma side J5 Liana. But before he can even start reading it, the guy in the helicopter shows up again with the machine gun and tears Roy apart. And every time Roy tries to survive longer than before, somebody always ends up killing him anyway. Now every new day is bringing Roy another death and another mystery. Then we jump back to the present. Somehow staying alive long enough, Roy takes Gemma's book and heads into an underground gaming store. While reading it, he discovers that Isis was the wife of an ancient Egyptian ruler, and at the very end of the book, Gemma leaves him a message: time waits for no one. The more Roy tries to understand this mystery, the deeper he gets pulled into it. At first, the book doesn't seem useful at all. But then Roy suddenly notices his son Joe nearby. The heartbreaking part is, Joe has no idea Roy is actually his father. Still, Roy loves spending time with him, so he decides to take him out for pizza. The second they walk outside, Roy notices the clock across the street. It's already 12:50. For the first time ever, he's survived this long. After years of emptiness, Roy finally gets a few peaceful moments with his son, but then the gang suddenly shows up. That's when Roy realizes the only reason he survived so long was because the underground location blocked anyone from tracking him. Roy shields his son from the gunfire, and while taking his final breaths, he finally tells Joe the truth, that he's his real father. Even while dying, the only thing Roy truly cares about is saving his son's life. In his final moments, through all the fear and pain, Roy sees something in his son's eyes: love. When the loop starts over again, he wakes up with a completely different mindset. That morning, he asks the man who attacks him where they planted the tracker. Now Roy isn't just trying to stay alive anymore, he's trying to destroy the entire game. No matter what it takes, Roy wants to find that tracking device. He heads into the restroom of his favorite diner and starts checking his body and clothes like a madman, searching for anything suspicious. But after tearing through everything, he still finds nothing. Then he notices a security officer named Dave sitting nearby eating noodle soup. Moy asks him a strange question. If somebody wanted to hide a tracking device inside a human body, where would they put it? Roy is finally starting to connect every small detail, trying to uncover the truth behind this entire nightmare. Dave tells him the smartest place to hide something like that would be inside a person's tooth. The second Roy hears that, he rushes into the restroom and starts ripping his own teeth out in panic. Luckily, inside the second tooth, he finally finds the tracker, but right then, his lookalike shows up and shoots him dead again. On the next attempt, Roy immediately removes the tracker first thing in the morning. Then, using the tracker itself, he hunts down every gang member one by one and wipes them out. Suddenly, one of their phones starts ringing. The call is from Brett. When Roy answers, Brett challenges him, asking if he's got the guts to face him like a man. Now Roy realizes the real game is only beginning, and his enemies are already waiting for him at every step. At this point, Roy isn't scared of anybody anymore. This time, instead of running away, he drives straight toward the lab. But during the first attempt, he crashes the car into a wall before even getting started, and Brett kills him instantly. On the next attempt though, Roy launches the car straight through the entrance and smashes his way inside the facility. With every failure, Roy is learning more and becoming far more dangerous than before. As the guards rush toward the car while unloading bullets, they suddenly realize the whole thing was a trap. The second they get close enough, Roy detonates the explosives hidden inside the vehicle. Then he takes out his lookalike and steals his security badge. At first, the badge doesn't even work, and when Roy finally manages to force the door open, Brett and his men are already waiting for him inside. So instead of getting captured, Roy shoots himself, deciding to try again from the beginning. Now Roy is facing his enemies without fear, changing his strategy every single time. On the next attempt, Roy already knows they'll be waiting near the security gate, so he sneaks in from another side and wipes them all out. Then he comes face to face with Guan Yin, the deadly sword fighter. Roy has a gun, but the second he pulls the trigger, he realizes it's empty. One moment of overconfidence, and Roy gets killed again. He tries over and over to defeat her, but after every new death, Roy only becomes tougher, never weaker. No matter what he does, Roy still can't beat her. Every single time, Guan Yin kills him with just one strike. During one attempt, Ventor finally captures Roy alive, and before killing him, he starts revealing the truth behind his top-secret project. Little by little, the real truth behind this entire nightmare finally starts coming out. The machine we've been seeing is called the Osiris Spindle, and it has the power to change history itself. Everything happening to Roy is because of that machine. Without Ventor knowing, Gemma secretly used Roy's hair samples to upload his DNA into the system, and it's obvious Ventor had no idea about it. Otherwise, why would he explain everything to Roy in the first place? Now Roy finally understands that his entire life is tied to this machine, and to the decision Gemma made. Roy reads the birthday book Gemma gave him one more time, and suddenly, everything clicks. As long as his DNA remains inside the machine, nobody can truly kill him. And in that moment, he realizes just how much Gemma trusted him all along. A new fire lights up inside him. Now Roy is ready to fight again and finish this once and for all. But there's still one person standing in his way: Guan Yin. During his next attempt, instead of fighting her, Roy heads to the noodle house and meets Dai Feng, the legendary Chinese sword master. Roy directly asks him to teach him sword fighting. Now Roy wants to win not just through strength, but through skill. At first, Dai Feng says he only has one day to teach him, but Roy smiles and realizes one day is all he needs. Every single loop, Roy keeps returning to train with him. him. Day after day, attempt after attempt, he slowly improves. And by his 174th attempt, he's finally ready. When Roy faces Guan Yin again, he calmly places his gun on the floor and pulls a sword from the wall. This time, his swordsmanship is flawless. And finally, he kills Guan Yin. After hundreds of attempts, Roy finally defeats his deadliest enemy. Just then, Brett and Ventor arrive. Roy throws his sword straight into Brett's forehead, and the second Ventor reaches for Brett's gun, Roy rushes him with another blade before he can react. Ventor can't believe one man managed to kill all of his people alone. Then he finally realizes the truth. Gemma used the machine to trap Roy inside a time loop. Ventor tells Roy something even worse. While Roy was busy fighting his men here, Joe had already been taken care of. The second Roy hears that, rage and heartbreak explode inside him at the same time. The moment Roy hears that, he rushes to find Joe. But when he gets there, it's already too late. Joe is dead. After seeing his son's body, Roy completely loses hope. He stops fighting back and starts letting the assassins kill him on purpose. After losing his son, Roy is completely broken inside, like he has no reason left to keep living. But one day, something changes. Roy thinks to himself, if this day is going to repeat forever anyway, then why not spend it with his son? So every loop, he starts hanging out with Joe, playing games together, enjoying every moment they can, and every evening, while the two of them sit quietly on a bench, the day comes to an end again. But then one day, Joe casually mentions something important. Earlier that morning, his mom had called him. Gemma told him that no matter what problem he ever faces, he can always talk to Roy about it. Wanting proof, Roy asked to see Joe's phone, and that's when he realizes something unbelievable. Gemma was still alive that morning, and for the first time in a long time, Roy realizes he still has a chance to save her. That tiny spark of hope gives Roy the strength to fight again. On the next attempt, Roy kills Ventor and Brett as fast as possible, then rushes into the surveillance room. There, he discovers that after Roy wakes up each morning, Gemma stays alive for another 15 minutes. The second he sees that footage, Roy smiles, then shoots himself immediately so he can reset the loop faster and save her in time. The next morning, Roy wakes up and instantly jumps onto the helicopter itself. He kills the gunman, takes the pilot hostage, and flies straight toward the lab. Using the helicopter's machine gun, he tears through Ventor's men like a one-man army. Then he races toward the exact spot where Gemma is about to die. At the last possible second, Roy storms in and finishes both Brett and Ventor once and for all. Finally, he saves Gemma. The two of them finally confess their love for each other. After countless deaths, endless pain, and non-stop fighting, Roy finally gets his life and his love back. And if you're into mind-bending movie stories like this, make sure you subscribe to Rafsat right now, because every single video here keeps you hooked until the very last second. And trust me, the next story is going to be even more dangerous.